This is KVCI.blogspot.com. I'm George Buster Rhymes, and I'm in Quitman, Georgia, in the county of Brooks, in the state of Georgia. I'm down here at what used to be called the Soda Shop years ago. You could get some of the best hamburgers right here. This is Soda Shop. Of course, we still have a sign, Robertson Barber Shop. There was a pool room right across over here. I want you to know what took place, and it's like a history long gone in the cosmos. Used to be a Murray's grocery store right here. He sold food. Most of the blacks would fill this area, especially on Friday evening and Saturday. Blacks had a few businesses at that time, but not that many. And so we went and worked in the cotton fields and all around the county, and we picked cotton, butter, beans, whatever needed to be done. That's what black African Americans did here in Quitman. And but we didn't have that many businesses that we could benefit from. Of course, like I say, there was a Murray's store right here. There was a pool room right here. And all along this street here, we had black African American. We had some businesses here, but most of it was all white businesses. And at that time, we, of course, went to black schools because all the schools were segregated. And Robert C. Marshall was the principal of Washington Street High School, and of course we would have football games. And what would happen was when the blacks got out of control or they caused problems downtown, Robert C. Marshall was called, and he would come to the community, and he was like the spokesman for the most part, and I guess he would be kind of like the mediator in between, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we are coming up here now, of course, a lot of us, and some of you all, I'm sure, across the United States of America, you have gone into your professions, but you remember Bar's seafood fish store. We all went to get fish, mostly from Bob's Fish Market. Most people familiar with that. And this is Quitman, Georgia. And of course, most of the stores now are going out of business downtown, especially on the black side of town here. But we also had P-Lazers, and we made the Jews and other peoples rich and richer because we didn't own the businesses. And much of the same, we are following that same pattern and practice until this very day. And until we begin to control the economics in our communities, we will continue to see our young people filling the jails and prisons around this nation. I think that there's a black African American that own a couple of these stores downtown here, or at least one or two. But back in the day, all of this was all white. And I remember there was two theaters. One theater was over here, and the blacks had to be in one part and the whites had to be in another. I remember those days. Blacks was very seldom on Front Street back in that day. That was the history of Quitman. Quitman was a place that we all loved. There was a strong bond here in Quitman. And of course, right down here was Chisholm Shoe Shop. And most blacks and whites brought their shoes down here to Chisholm Shoe Shop. And here in Quitman back in the day, when I was born in 51, I graduated in class of 70. And they had one red light here, and we didn't get to see much of a red light, but down here in this area down here was a traffic light, one. And we would take pride in that because at least we had one traffic light. Then as time progressed, they took that light down, so there was no traffic lights here in Quitman. We later found out that there was, when I returned back here after being in the military, that there was several traffic lights, and of course now Quitman has three or four traffic lights, and I guess that's really good. At least we are familiar with the larger cities a little bit. Now this is with Chisholm Shoe Shop was right here, and Mr. Chisholm, by the way, was the wishful master of the Masonic Lodge, which I went into in 1978. He was committed to that particular order of the Prince Hall Masons under the Prince Hall movement or segment of the Masonic lodges. Now, this right here was what you would call back at that day was the Black Theater. This was the Black Theater right here. This is where blacks came to watch the movies, and of course, I guess like most everything else, then it was kind of dilapidated, but it was as well as the one in Thomasville or anywhere else. But it was the one in the black community. Of course, there was another one right over there, which was where blacks and white went at. And of course, blacks was in one part and white was in the other. But this is a little bit about a South Georgia town, and I'm doing this because I want the people who left Washington Street High School, who went to Summer Hill and Grooversville area and Morven and Barney, all around in Nankin, who went to school in Hickory Head area, who went to school. You probably have forgotten about Quitman. Some of you may never come back because of the way things were and bad race relations down here. But that was just the way it was in those days. So forgive the people and let's move on and come on back and visit Little Quitman. And I don't think it's a bad place to live now. And return back to the South and get control of the government and do what you can do down here to make things better for everybody. Once again, I still smell fish there, so Bob Fish Market got to still be open because I smell that fish. I don't smell good either. But anyway, this is Quitman, Georgia, and we're going to give you a little turnaround here in Quitman. To you who are in New York, you who have retired from the military, Washington Street produced colonels and generals. Some of the best people and most educated people graduated from that all-black school there in Quitman, Georgia, under the leadership of Robert C. Marshall and a host of good black educators who was concerned about the black children in that day. Today we think it seems like we have lost something when we integrated the school system. We lost a lot, seems like. But anyway, we can't just dwell on the past and think that there was no good, because it's something about the God of the universe. We are all on an elevational journey to go higher and higher up that ladder. And by the way, let me walk over here because the Democratic Party headquarters for President Barack Obama was over here. And I came and I walked the streets trying to register people to vote, as well as in Valdosta. But in this building was the campaign headquarters for President Barack Obama, Gladys Lee, and some more people. I don't remember all their names. But they came and we worked out of this building to try and get President Barack Obama elected. I mostly worked in Quitman, but I did come over. And so we're going to close on this note. And we want to work again this year to do what we can to try and get this historic president back in the office. This is KVCI.blogspot.com. George Boston Ryan doing what we do in the streets of Quitman, Georgia. And bye-bye. We gone.